In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, National Assembly scrutinizes state budget-related issues. Later on, Prime Minister attends the 8th Greater Mekong Sub-Region Summit. And let's check in the atmosphere of the last day before the U.S. presidential election.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time, and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. Now, the National Assembly held a plenary session on Tuesday morning to discuss the implementation of the 2024 state budget estimates, and the central budget allocation plan for 2025. During the session, several National Assembly deputies recommended continued reforms in project planning and capital allocation to enhance the efficiency of public investment.
Deputies agree with the government's report on the results of the 2024 Public Investment Plan, the Financial Plan, and non-budgetary funds, and the proposed plan for 2025. They also offered specific recommendations, including a 5% reduction in regular expenses to increase development investment toward the year-end.
The government and the Finance Ministry request a 5% reduction in regular expenses to boost development investment. Deputies proposed initiating the 5% cut from the beginning of the year, easing the allocation of public investment funds. Leaving this until the end of the year would increase the amount of paperwork and consume a lot of time. Cutting 5% at the start of the year would help localities plan their budgets more efficiently.
Several deputies emphasized that public investment has driven substantial development progress. However, more investment is needed in high-quality human resources and infrastructure for education and healthcare.
Public hospitals and universities must pay interest on loans for infrastructure and facilities, which leads to higher service fees. I suggest raising the percentage of public investment capital allocated to healthcare and education from the state budget, enough at least for initial infrastructure investment. Once the initial investment is complete, schools and hospitals should be allowed to operate autonomously, reinvest, and manage their regular expenses. This approach would relieve patients and students from bearing high service fees.
Some deputies also suggest avoiding wastefulness in the use and management of public property.
Budget collection can still achieve a planned 8.9% increase, which is 6.9% year-on-year. However, the governmental enterprise sector has recorded a decline. Law No. 69, which manages the state's investment capital in enterprises' operations, is currently a legal bottleneck for state enterprises. This issue must be resolved soon to give them more freedom in business activities. Timing is crucial in investing, and waiting to process public investment paperwork may cause enterprises to miss opportunities.
On Tuesday morning, the National Assembly deputies also debated issues regarding the law on officers of the Vietnam People's Army.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh and a high-level Vietnamese delegation arrived in Yunnan, China on Monday morning to attend the 8th Greater Mekong Sub-Region or GMS Summit, the 10th ASEAN-ECS Economic Cooperation Summit, and the 11th Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam CLMV Summit. These mark the first in-person meetings of these multilateral summits in 6 years, offering leaders a platform to discuss new directions for regional cooperation. During his visit, the Prime Minister will deliver key speeches, hold bilateral meetings with important partners, and engage in activities promoting Vietnam's culture and tourism. He will also meet with Chinese businesses and tour economic and logistics facilities in Yunnan and Chongqing. The visit aims to strengthen Vietnam's traditional cooperation in trade, exports, and infrastructure development while advancing sustainable management of cross-border water resources. Furthermore, the Prime Minister will explore new opportunities in science and technology, innovation, digital transformation, and green development, which are aligned with Vietnam's current development priorities. The 9th National Brand Awards, attended by Prime Minister Phie took place on Monday night. At the event, 190 Vietnamese companies and their products earned the prestigious national brand status for 2024. These businesses, with combined 2023 revenues of $100 million and contributions of $6.25 billion to the state budget, employ over 600,000 people and play a key role in social welfare initiatives. The Prime Minister highlighted the need for these businesses to adapt to digital transformation, green transition, and the circular economy while continuing to uphold core values such as quality, innovation, and leadership. He encouraged enterprises to expand into emerging sectors like the green economy, digital economy, and knowledge economy, alongside traditional industries. Additionally, the Prime Minister called for improved management practices, increased innovation, and greater application of science and technology to enhance productivity and business efficiency. He also emphasized the importance of legal compliance, high-quality human resources, and a strong corporate culture. Danang City's project to enhance logistics services aims to connect with the Central Key Economic Zone and the East-West Economic Corridor from 2021 to 2030, with a vision extending to 2050. The focus is on modernizing and developing logistics sustainably. Several large-scale projects, both underway and in the planning stages, are creating growth momentum and positioning Danang as a key national and international logistics hub.
Danang plans to build 5 main logistics centers, covering a total area of 229 hectares. These include the Liên Chiểu Port Logistics Center, Hoa Nguyen Logistics Center, Railway Logistics Center, Danang International Airport Logistics Center, and High Tech Park Logistics Center.
Logistics infrastructure is a key focus for promoting investment and construction in Danang, supporting the growth of the marine economy. The city has identified the most favorable locations for developing these centers.
Danang also prioritizes transport infrastructure development. Recently, the city opened the 19.5-kilometer Danang Western Belt Road, linking the city's transport network to the Central Highland provinces.
Upon completion of the Western Beltway Road and National Highway 14B expansion, this route will serve as the main axis in the city's western area, significantly reducing transit times for goods between the north and south.
The National Assembly has approved Danang's pilot of the Free Trade Zone, which will be connected to Liên Chiểu Seaport and Danang International Airport.
The free trade zones offers more favorable policies than current ones, aiming to attract increased investment in industrial and logistics sectors, as well as in high-quality trade and services.
Resolution 43 of the Politburo aims to establish Danang as a major socio-economic center in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. To achieve this goal, the city will prioritize resources for logistics development and attract investors to enhance its logistics infrastructure.
Cross-border trade and transportation activities through Vietnam's northern border gates have shown strong growth over the past 10 months, despite the impact of Typhoon Yagi. In Lạng Sơn, the volume of goods passing through customs has been maintained at over 1,300 trucks per day. By the end of October, Lạng Sön's total import-export value reached nearly $53 billion, a 20% increase compared to the same period last year. In Laogai, the cumulative value of goods traded over the first 9 months is estimated to exceed $2.7 million, up more than 77% year-on-year. On November the 1st, Laogai officially launched 5 new cross-border trade lanes. Meanwhile, at the Mong Cái border gate in Quảng Province, the total volume of goods traded had surpassed 1.4 million tons by October the 20th, up 12% compared to the same period last year. Controlling raw materials and enhancing in-depth processing are key production goals for many Vietnamese businesses aiming to increase the export value of agricultural products. To meet export market standards, companies across various localities have established their own raw material regions. Our story from Nan Province.
For 4 years, this company has invested in production lines for wood pellets and focused on creating a sustainable raw material region. With an investment of over $230,000, the company is helping local residents acquire sustainable forest certifications for over 10,000 hectares, with a commitment to long-term tree planting.
This is an in-depth and practical forest protection for sustainability.
At this factory, all raw materials come from over 10 hectares of organic tea plantations and an additional 4,000 hectares of tea cultivated through partnerships with local households. By securing inputs and investing in advanced processing technologies, the company has consistently received orders from major markets such as Russia and Europe.
The company has instructed local residents to cultivate raw materials free of pesticides.
A policy is needed to build infrastructure for raw material areas. Enterprises must carry out their commitment to farmers to expand the material area. Farmers must comply with cultivation procedures to create products that meet enterprises' quality standards.
Nghệ An's processed products benefit from enhanced partnerships, establish sustainable and safe raw material regions, and a focus on deep processing. In the first 10 months of the year, certain products, such as sugar, tapioca starch, tea, and wood pellets, increased by 15 to 25% compared to the same period last year. Expanding markets and a positive outlook for orders are paving the way for production growth for businesses in the coming months.
Currently, banks can provide loans without collateral for the 1 million hectare high-quality, low-emission rice project in the Mekong Delta region. These loans can range from $3,900 to a maximum of $118,000. However, the specific lending procedures are still in development and will largely depend on verified local data about target groups, scale, and costs. The problem is, this data is still incomplete.
The pilot models across 5 provinces have shown that businesses and cooperatives are the 2 main participants in the project. To ensure quick and effective access to funds, these 2 groups need a more robust legal framework.
Lending is based on projects created by enterprises and cooperatives within the 1 million hectare high-quality, low-emission rice initiative. Banks can only establish legal grounds for lending once these entities develop their projects.
Previously, project participation required applicants to meet criteria for sustainable planning, cultivation, and production organization. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development also set economic and technical standards for high-quality, low-emission rice production. However, local authorities believe that if these standards determine loan amounts, the policy should be flexible enough to encourage farmer participation.
We need a more flexible approach so projects with less than 50 hectares can also access loans because Tiên Giang is a small province.
The funds for cooperatives remained limited, so there should be a mechanism to support them. I also agree with the 5 conclusions in the Agricultural Ministry's recent report. This includes allocating funds directly to localities.
Recently, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh called for the swift establishment of a support fund for the 1 million hectare rice project. This aims to demonstrate the project's clear economic advantages over non-participating areas. Additionally, it seeks to attract both domestic and international resources.
Before we move on, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's market. fishing vessels install 2 tracking devices to avoid connectivity issues. Later on, highland communes receive investment for provincial-level tourism development. Moving on to other important updates, Danang was battered by intense rainfall on Tuesday morning, with some areas receiving 100 to 200 millimeters of rain in just 2 to 3 hours. The downpour caused widespread flooding in residential areas and roads and forced schools to close. Districts like Suncha, Haichou, and Phie saw water levels rise by 50 to 70 centimeters, with many vehicles stalled during rush hour, paralyzing traffic. Floodwaters also inundated homes in several neighborhoods, while heavy rain triggered landslides on the road to Suncha Peninsula. In response, local authorities temporarily halted traffic to the peninsula for safety. Further rain is expected through Wednesday morning, with up to 150 millimeters more predicted, along with risks of landslides and flash floods in hilly areas. To prepare for the European Commission's 5th inspection, Deputy Prime Minister Danang has issued a directive calling for the focused implementation of urgent measures to combat illegal, unreported and unregulated or IUU fishing. After 7 years of combating IUU fishing and 4 previous inspections by the EU, the Deputy Prime Minister is determined to lift the yellow card status. He has instructed the chairpersons of the People's Committees in 28 coastal provinces and cities to personally lead, oversee, and appoint dedicated managers for IUU fishing prevention, including on-site inspections. The Ministry of Public Security is tasked with reviewing, investigating, verifying, and thoroughly addressing acts that facilitate IUU fishing violations in foreign waters. In Quảng Ngãi, many fishermen are installing 2 GPS devices simultaneously to avoid unexpected issues. This precaution is necessary because GPS devices frequently lose signal for unknown reasons. More on this to follow.
Phie installed this journey monitoring device over 4 years ago. However, the device often loses connection while operating at sea. When this happens, he must bring the vessel back to shore. Not wanting this incident to recur, he installed 2 GPS devices simultaneously.
If we lose connection for less than 6 hours, Danang port accepts it. However, if it's over by even a minute, they detain our vessel and fine us about $990. So I eventually went home and asked my wife to borrow money for another tracking device to avoid this situation.
Many fishing vessels have lost connection at sea. Fishermen must stop fishing for 5 to 7 days, while authorities investigate and verify the situation. Concerned about the impact on their livelihood, many boat owners have installed 2 journey monitoring devices. However, this dual equipment setup has significantly increased costs for fishermen.
Monthly rental costs us about $26 for these 2 devices. If we bought it by ourselves, it would cost us around $2,200 for 2 devices. It's a lot of money, but we have to follow regulations.
In contrast to the past, when fishermen avoided installing journey monitoring devices due to cost concerns, they now willingly equipped their vessels with 2 such devices. This shift demonstrates their increased awareness and proactive approach to complying with maritime laws.
Vietnam's tourism industry has shown impressive results in the first 10 months of 2024. Hanoi welcomed over 21 million visitors, with nearly 5 million being international tourists. Ninh Bình attracted almost 8 million visitors, while Thanh Hóa received nearly 15 million of them. Thanh Hóa total tourism revenue exceeded $1.33 billion, a 40% increase compared to last year. In the southern region, Ho Chi Minh City recorded nearly 35 million tourist visits, including about 4.7 million international travelers. The city's tourism revenue reached over 156 trillion Vietnam dong in this period, a 12% increase from the previous year. Three highland communes, Quyết Chiến, Ngô Luông, and Vân Sơn in Tân Lạc District, Hòa Bình Province, sit at an altitude of 800 to 1,000 meters above sea level. This elevation gives these communes a cool climate and beautiful scenic spots. Additionally, the area preserves many traditional cultural values of the Muong ethnic group. Capitalizing on these advantages, these communes are currently receiving investments to develop into provincial-level tourist areas.
In 2019, Bill's family became one of the 3 households in Tien Hamlet to register for community tourism, with funding support from the Australian Foundation for the Peoples of Asia and the Pacific. Situated on the hillside overlooking fields and offering the cuisine and traditional culture of the Muong ethnic people, Bill's family has since welcomed many groups of visitors.
Previously, households here did not know how to do tourism. Thanks to government support, we've received training on how to develop community tourism. Since then, our lives have improved.
Tân Lạc District has focused on establishing 3 model community tourism sites across 3 communes. This initiative has enhanced the preservation and promotion of the Muong ethnic group's traditional cultural values while developing tourism to increase local incomes.
We selected Bắc Tung Hamlet as the model for community tourism. Initially, residents learned about developing community tourism and its benefits.
Tân Lạc District is focusing on mobilizing and integrating investment resources to develop tourism infrastructure and facilities. However, the implementation of Resolution Number 13 still faces challenges, primarily due to the lack of these essential elements. In the coming years, Hòa Bình Province will continue to guide all levels of government, sectors, and local authorities while encouraging participation from residents and businesses. Their collective efforts will concentrate on implementing solutions to transform the Tân Lạc Highland communes into a provincial-level tourist area by 2030, with a long-term vision to 2050.
Nestled in the winding alleys of Hoi An's ancient town, where the rustling sea breeze mingles with whispers of traditional culture, lies a small shop named Heart, a name that echoes heart in English. True to its name, born from the passion of those who cherish tradition, this place breathes new life into age-old weaving crafts of ethnic communities. Here, old items are reborn, given fresh purpose and meaning.
As you step through the time-worn wooden door, you're transported into a vibrant world of colorful brocade fabrics adorned with diverse patterns. Each item at Heart is a meticulously handcrafted piece, woven by skilled ethnic artisans from various regions. These creations carry the unique cultural essence of their origins.
Currently, we are working with 8 ethnic communities. We provide market insights, such as identifying what we believe our customers will appreciate. This allows us to collaborate with them from that initial idea, helping them create products that are more accurately aligned with market demand.
Every piece tells a story. Whether it's clothing or whether it's a statue, I think what's incredible is that with these ethnic minority tribes, the quality that they produce is higher than anything I've seen anywhere around the world. Foreigners that travel to Vietnam, that's what they want. They want to learn the stories and the history and the meaning behind, what they see.
Born from a passion for Vietnamese craftsmanship, Heart is not only a place that preserves and cultivates artworks rich in the cultural heritage of Vietnam's ethnic communities, but also revives old items, breathing new life into them.
I love the culture of Vietnam and the way that different people work their art. I was a teacher in the past when I was working, so I'm very interested in other cultures and the food and the art and the way that people's lives is reflected in their work.
Born from a passion for Vietnamese craftsmanship, HART is not only a place that preserves and cultivates artworks rich in the cultural heritage of Vietnam's ethnic communities, but also revives old items, breathing new life into them.
For example, we repurpose wooden fishing boats into wooden statues. And we also use woven bamboo to create unique home decor items. What makes HART special is that nearly every product we create is one of a kind. HART resonates with heart. And I believe that everything we do here is driven by a genuine passion that comes from the heart.
Coming up next on VTV News. Let's check in the atmosphere of the last day before the U.S. presidential election. And North Korea fires multiple short-range missiles. There is only 1 day left until the U.S. presidential election campaign draws to a close. From Washington, D.C. to swing states, the atmosphere is heating up as the American over the country are heading towards the race between the two candidates, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Security at key locations has been heightened to its maximum level, ready for any unexpected developments that may occur on Election Day.
In Washington, D.C., security is at its highest level. Checkpoints and barricades surround the White House, Congress, and key agencies. Security forces are on duty to install a ring of steel around the White House. With the election only hours away, a sense of tension mixed with anticipation prevails in the Capitol.
You know, I'm excited. I'm very confident of who I'm going to be voting for, and I think it's a great moment for our country and for the world.
In swing states where the outcome could decide the winner of the White House, the campaign atmosphere intensified on the final day. Vice President Kamala Harris will conclude her campaign in Pennsylvania, which holds 19 crucial electoral votes, while former President Donald Trump is conducting a series of events across North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Data from last Sunday revealed that over 75 million Americans have already participated in early voting, representing about 48% of the total voter turnout in 2020. With the surge in early and mail-in voting, the U.S. is poised to set a new record for voter participation this year. Despite only 1 day remaining, the final result remains unknown, and every vote cast tomorrow could determine the U.S.'s future for the next 4 years.
North Korea fired at least 7 short-range ballistic missiles off its east coast on Tuesday, according to Japan's defense minister. The missiles will launch around 7:30 a.m. from the vicinity of Sariwon, North Hwanghae Province. They reached an altitude of 100 kilometers and traveled 400 kilometers before falling into the ocean outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. That is seen as Pyongyang's response to this joint South Korea-US-Japan Air Force exercise held on November 3rd, which included US B-1B bombers. North Korea claimed that this trilateral exercise is the reason for its efforts to strengthen its nuclear capabilities. The Iranian-made satellites Kausar and Hot were successfully placed into orbit by a Russian Soyuz 2.1 spacecraft, a move reflecting the growing cooperation between Moscow and Tehran. The Soyuz 2.1 lifted off as scheduled from the Vostochny Cosmodrome in far eastern Russia, delivering its payload to the designated orbit 9 minutes after launch on Tuesday. These satellites mark a milestone as the first launched on behalf of Iran's private sector. While Russia has previously launched several Iranian satellites, this is the first time it has launched privately produced ones. Tehran hopes this launch will be the first step in bringing Iran's private sector into the space industry. Up next is the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.